What do you got for me?
What's wrong with you people?
I got nothing for you.
What's wrong?
You're not David. How do y'all feel this morning? I feel rotten. That's how I feel. Well, that was enough for me. We could have had the benediction right there. That was so good.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome to The Reformatory, the podcast for the local church and by the local church, and we are your local churchmen. My name is Josh, and I am here, as always, with my comrade in arms, my captain in crime, Captain Jack Sperry. Jack Barry. I am so tired.
Jack Sperry?
Well, here's
awesome.
what happened in my head.
I mean, Jack Sparrow.
Right, that's what happened in my head. I combined Jack Sparrow and Jack Barry in my head, and it came out Jack Sperry.
Hey, man. That's
all right.
I'll take that. I'll take that as a win.
I am so tired, dude. Oh, my goodness. So dumb. Jack, how are you? How's it going?
I'm well. Today was my first day on the new job, so that was nice.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So yeah, had to do. I'm kind of traveling in the Puget Sound area for this week and some training stuff. So Josh and I are kind of recording later on in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why Josh is tired. He needs that rest, y'all. Sorry,
I'm getting old.
You boys
man.
putting him through it.
That's right.
Putting him through it right now.
Well, I mean, I still like, as much as I want to moan and groan, like, you're the one with a newborn. So
yeah,
you know,
that's true.
I don't got much to say, my man. I don't got much to say. Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not going to say anything because I feel like taking the high road right now would be very beneficial to this conversation. But I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to do it.
You can just nod and be like, "No, you right.
Yeah.
You right. Yeah. That's okay. Like, I know that it's not the same, so that's okay.
Yeah.
But how is little Theo?
Theo's good. He's like putting on weight lately. I feel like he's a solid. Oh no, we haven't done an official weigh-in for a while, but I think he's a solid 13 pounds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he's getting heavier.
Okay.
He's like it's now to the point where like when I pick up like his car seat, it's like, oh, this is now getting to like workout territory.
territory.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but he's doing well. He's like,
good.
I think you always like have these stages with newborns. I think right now we're kind of in the put him on his tummy, kind of see like he is surprisingly strong. Like he pops his head up pretty well.
All right.
So I mean, at least he can get into that kind of groove, but he needs to crawl and develop a little bit more before he's like anywhere. Like I was just trying to put his feet on my knee the other day to see if he'd react, and he's reacting. So I mean, there's little glimmers here and there.
Good, man.
So
good. That's good to hear.
Dude. I got to look at the onesie that you gave us.
Oh yes,
so because he might be in the territory.
He's almost there.
Where that onesie was at, I don't know. I gotta look at it again.
We got to get pics. We got to get pics in that onesie, man. That is a legendary onesie. Yeah,
that is true.
Yeah.
It was a legendary gift for him. So
yeah, I'm in on that, dude. Before we get into cigar review, and this is gonna be more for our people on YouTube. So if you want to see this, go to YouTube. But check out what I got here.
Here we go. Oh, here we
go,
people.
Okay.
Here we go.
That is a Peterson pipe box. All right, we're gonna open this sucker up on air.
Just when I think you're done with pipes.
No, I'm never done
with
with
pipes. Get into the cigar groove. I feel like you get in the cigar groove, right? And you just keep going on the cigar groove, and the next thing you know, this happens, like, and then just pipes.
So here's the
thing. I feel like it's gonna be pipes up until like December.
So pipes and cigars, like they are 4 different times. Okay, so if I'm by myself, if I'm studying, or if I'm writing, sermon prepping, if I'm feeling more contemplative, right? A pipe is perfect for that. But a cigar,
True.
like a cigar is primarily for fellowship. Because I'm talking, like I don't have time to like keep a pipe lit and stuff like that. It's easier to keep lit. So it just depends on the venue. It just depends on like what's happening. Okay, but check this out. Look at this nice green bag that they put it in. You see that? You see that? People on YouTube?
Is that suede?
Dude, yes it is.
Oh my gosh. He's got a suede pipe bag, y'all.
Okay, here we go.
Suede pipe bag.
Look at this.
Is this Meerschaum? Oh, wow. No, that's not Meerschaum, but that's nice.
That is a gorgeous pipe. So that is a Sherlock. Sterling silver.
I was about to say.
Okay.
Wow.
Look at that bowl. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that a nice pipe?
That is a nice pipe. I'll give you that much. Craftsmanship is there, sir.
The craftsmanship is on point with Peterson. Just saying. Anyway, I'm digging that right now, so I might put
the last 30 seconds.
Yeah.
The last 30 seconds were just like, why are they doing this? What's happening? We can't see this.
Yeah. Anyone who's just listening, you'll just have to head over.
It gives you all the more reason to go to YouTube and look at this video. All right?
Exactly. Head to youtube.com/reformatorypod. Like, comment, and subscribe. Yep. Click the bell for notifications. Jack, before we start talking, my man, talking about cool stuff, talking about theology, talking about local church stuff, dude, why don't you give us this week's Reformatory Cigar of the Week? What do you got for us?
So, we are finishing up our August. August is for apostates. So Apostate Cigars has been the focus of this month of August. We are looking at 2 releases and then 2 more releases, hopefully, in the next year to come. We're not, I haven't smoked these cigars, obviously. So these are kind of like, if you were to look at just the outside of the main core line that we just went over this last month, and to look at some more Apostate cigars to look at to smoke, there are 2 that are like literally starting to about to come out in the brick and mortar stores. Yeah. So one of them is called the Sword of Laban. The Sword of Laban. It is a Churchill vitolicizing. It is a Ecuadorian Corojo wrapper. Binder is Mexican San Andreas. Fillers Dominican Republic. The Sword of Laban was the weapon both belonging to and used to execute its namesake. The cigar will cut through your normal routine, wink wink, to bring you a truly engaging smoke with a delightfully contrasting flavor. So if you're looking for a Corojo Churchill, that's the Sword of Laban. And then the other one is the...
Do you know how bad I want that cigar to be $14?
It'll probably be that.
Well, right. That's how long he made... that's how long he made Jacob work. It was 14 years. Like, if it comes out and it's $14, I am sending a message to Brandon and being like,
wink wink.
Like, you could just not many people gonna get this.
Or you could just say that to him. It's like, hey, make this MSRP
$14. $14 exactly. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. And the other.
Yeah. The other one is the Zarahamela. I don't know. It is a very much, I am totally butchering that name. Zarahamela was, I'm assuming this is from the Book of Mormon. I'm assuming this is. Sure. Okay. Was an ancient city and once mighty city, now in ruin. Was it though? Was it in ruin? Is it? We will never know. This cigar is well suited to become a cornerstone, wink wink, in your cigar temples, and a true indulgence for your palate with tobaccos from New World and the Old. So it is a Toro box pressed. This is interesting. Toro box pressed broadleaf Pennsylvania wrapper.
Yeah.
Binder is Cameroon from Africa. And the filler is Dominican Republic and Mexican. So that is an interesting...
Those are both going to be tasty.
That is an interesting 2 little cigars.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that might be a good one.
Yeah.
There are 2 other cigars that are on the website that says coming in 2024. One of them is called Moroni's Trumpet. Have no clue what that is, but obviously
isn't Moroni a gangster in Batman? Maybe it's his.
Maybe it is. He is. I'm trying to remember.
I think he
Oh
is.
my gosh! Now
There's
now you got me.
Falcone, and then there's Maroney.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Anyway.
Yeah, I think he is.
I'm tired.
Okay, so you have Maroney's Trumpet coming out in 2024, and then you have The Endowment,
Okay.
which sounds like a Christopher Nolan movie.
It does. It does. That's very true.
So,
All right.
I'm sure you'll have some sort of references to Mormonism and the Book of Mormon in those, obviously. But that wraps up August is for Apostates. I thought it was a good month reviewing these cigars.
Same. Yep. I agree. Some of the best sticks on the market right now, and all of it. Like I'm looking forward to the new ones hitting the stores, which should be soon, hopefully this week, and I'm sure there will be pictures of them going up on my socials. So, well, thanks, folks. That was a good month of cigars, and you know what to do. Go and smoke to the glory of God. All right, Jack. So, Jack, I got a question for you. And this is something that I've actually been thinking about this week. Because something that I see, because look, I'm trying to, I don't know if it's just the counseling side of my brain or just the more like analytical side, but like I try to find the roots and solutions to things that I perceive as problems, right? And I'm sure a lot of people do that, to different varying degrees also. But when I look into kind of the like greater, world of reformdom, especially the reformdom that we see online, which is granted a very specific type and vibe, right? Not really consistent with what I think is happening in most churches, right? But I see almost just this like zero amount of discernment when it comes to what you're willing to discuss and how aggressive you discuss it when it comes online. Okay, so for example, right?
Okay.
Lots of like theological arguments rip through social media. It's just kind of what happens, right?
Yeah.
And you see so many dudes like passionately defending their side. You see threads upon threads and paragraphs, and now that you can write like an essay on Twitter, like you see essays now, right? And it's just this like constant back and forth of theological discussion, and more than often, nothing ever gets resolved, right?
Yeah.
So like it really is just kind of words being thrown into the ether. They evaporate because if we're going to be honest, nobody really goes to social media to be educated or to learn. They go to speak their mind. That's just kind of how it is, right? So my question to you is, as I am looking at this, what I would perceive to be a problem, because I think it's a distraction, and I think it just ends up devolving into petty arguments that honestly make the church look bad. I started thinking about how I go about deciding whether or not something is worth my time, right? And I kind of worked out in my head, kind of as I look at my own practice and my own beliefs on how to interact with this kind of stuff, and again, it can be anything, right? Whatever the theological topic is of the day, it's always something that requires much like nuance and discussion, and it hardly ever gets that, right? But I guess as I'm thinking through this myself, I wanted to ask you too. How do you make your decision as to what you decide to interact with, what you decide not to interact with, and what goes into making that decision in your head? Is it no, this is worth my time, this is worth my effort? Because you and I both interact pretty similarly online, in that we don't really get. We try not to get into the drama and stuff like that, right? And I'm wondering, when you see those things, because you follow the same people I do, what is the thing that stops you from hitting that reply button, writing out your post, and then hitting send, and basically just adding to the noise?
Yeah, that's a good question. Man, I think some people just want to pull out an oldie. They want to stir that pot of gummy worms, dude. They want
worms
to
have been rustled. Yeah.
They want to stir them. So, man, I think some people there are, as Alfred said, are just there to watch the world burn, and they want to do it by just getting. I mean, people. Let's be honest. You know how to rile up a Calvinist, especially if they're in the cage stage, pretty easily.
Oh, sure.
This is not rocket science, people. Like if you know, and we know, there are Calvinists out there who are anon accounts who are in the cage stage. All you have to do is retweet or re-X. That sounds weird. Re-X. Reacts. Reacts. The content to kind of get them foaming at the mouth, and just add insult to injury, and you got them. Like they're going to be coming for you like gangbusters, dude. So, I mean, a lot of it, I feel like, I think the last kind of content that I really rushed in to maybe defend was one of my old professors. His name's Todd Miles. He is down at Western Seminary. He's at a historic Baptist church down in Portland, probably one of the only historic Baptist churches down in Portland, Hinson. And he came out with a book called Cannabis and the Christian, and was kind of going through a time in which it's like, hey, pot's legal in Oregon, and we have all these dispensaries and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So what do we do with that? And he went on a couple different times to YouTube, and then I think he posted something on Twitter too. He barely posts anything on Twitter/X a lot, but I think that's the only time that I came and basically said, like, you're not letting... You're basically like putting your assumptions onto Todd and thinking that those are his conclusions.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Sure.
So a lot of people were saying, like, you think this, and just like nailing it to him. And it's like, that's not even what he's saying.
Yeah.
But and I know that's not what he's saying.
That's just what social media does, right? Like, I'm gonna make my own conclusions without even engaging with it. And I
think a lot of my interactions that I have with people these days have to deal with particular baptism and more along the lines of people like, I don't know, like giving us like the cold shoulder, or you guys really aren't Christian. We get this all the time. You guys really aren't Baptists. You guys really aren't Reformed.
Yeah.
I feel like I interact with that content like at least once or twice a month.
Sure.
I feel like, and the only reason why, it's like, dude, we have historic confessions. We have this, we have that. Like, what do you want from us, dude? You know?
Yeah.
But I feel like that doesn't really take up my time. It's more like a pithy kind of like reply, and it's really not saying anything.
Unless you start coming against Jack's Cleveland Browns, then he's all up in arms.
Ooh,
yeah,
they cut.
Yeah.
I don't know. They made some moves.
Sure.
On the roster lately.
Okay.
In any case, so I mean, I feel like I'm getting to a point to where I really don't want to like engage people on social media when it comes to theology, because it's not. I feel like the people who need it are in my local, like, and some people are gonna go, oh well, you're just shucking off and you don't really want to engage. Like, okay, how are we gonna do this?
Yeah,
because the way of engaging on social media is so, like, I don't really know you, dude. Yeah. So it's like, I can only say, like, you can throw out your theological point, and I can react to that and basically come at it from my standpoint. But like, what's the use? Like, who's getting discipled here?
Well,
you know?
and I think that's one of the good questions, right? Is when I think of my answer to this, as I look to all of the things that are like demanding my attention and demanding my opinion to be voiced, right? I have a finite amount of time and a finite amount of energy to dedicate to theological discussion, right? Or, you know, culture discussion, whatever the hot button topic is of the day. And I kind of worked out in my head, and I want to share it with you, and I want to share it with our listeners, this kind of almost hierarchy of social interactions, almost, if you will, as to help me kind of determine, is this worth my time, right? So say it's some, you know, theological discussion, like, you know, men's and women's roles in the church, or baptism, or, you know, the hot one that's still going on with like Aquinas and all that, like all that junk, right? Let's say it's that.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a list, and it's like a hierarchy of places that I am going to be okay with discussing that kind of stuff, and places that I'm not. So the one that's at the very bottom of the list when it comes to theological discussions or cultural discussions is online. It's honestly at the bottom. I unless I am specifically asked my opinion, well, honestly, even then, I'll usually say, hey, like, you know, it's not worth it. Like, I can DM you if you want, right? But social media is at the bottom, right? Because honestly, I don't know or have real relationships with almost anybody on social media. And me spending time and energy to invest into a fake place, just I don't see as worth it, right? So then above that would be people like in my life that I interact with in real life, but aren't part of my church, aren't really part of my circle, right? So I'm thinking, you know, friends, maybe some family members, right, who I do interact with, but at the end of the day, like, I'm not responsible for them, right? So like members of other churches, right? I'll be more inclined to have some theological discussion with, you know, a random person that I'm friends with. But the minute it starts turning like they want to debate or start to argue about it, right? Honestly, I'm still out, because at the end of the day, I'm not responsible for you. Like, I'm not your shepherd, and I'm not interested in spending all this energy, right? So, but after that, again, this is just how my brain kind of works. After that, we start getting into the local church, right? And it's there that I start seeing it being more worthy of time and energy and effort, right? So if it's the members of your church now are having these discussions, okay, that's a different story, okay? So now I am going to invest time and energy in that, because these are people that I am in community with. These are people that I'm responsible for, right? Still, right, as long as these members of the church, you know, are agreeing not to speak against the Constitution of the church and, you know, the doctrinal statement of the church, not to speak against the confession, there can still be a good deal of disagreement theologically, and we can still have unity, right? Right, within the membership of the local church, okay? So that's the next hierarchy, right? Still important, right? Now, the one above that, there's two more, right? The one above that is when we start to try to, you know, choose folks to start serving in church, whether it be in counseling or children's ministry or music ministry, things like that, right? The theological closeness, you know, it starts to close a little bit, right? If somebody wants to be a deacon, if we're looking for someone to be a deacon, the circle starts to close. And those theological discussions become, I think, even more important and even more specific, because now you have people that are in charge of ministries, right? And you have people that are taking responsibility in the church right? The things that we should be okay with disagreeing on get a little bit smaller, right? I'm not saying that there can't be some disagreement, but those things start to narrow down a little bit, right? And then what I believe to be the top tier, like worth as much energy as it takes, is when you are considering people to serve in eldership. Because it's vital. It is so important that those that are serving in leadership of the church are as close to the same page theologically as possible. Now, you're never going to be 100% on the same page, right? And that's something that I think a lot of young guys too in ministry need to understand. You are never going to be 100% on the same page theologically with somebody else. You're always going to have differences in, maybe a little differences in interpretation, maybe differences of application of that theology. There's always going to be those little things, right? But it is prudent and wise to do your darndest to get as much on the same page, definitely on the big things, but as many of the essential things as possible, because you guys have to march forward in unity, leading the church with a unified understanding of what this conviction or what this doctrine means, right? Yeah. Because if the congregation sees split, a split elder, board like that, it's gonna cause problems, right? So that's why we at Redeemer have the 1689 as our standard. Like if your agreement with the 1689 to be a member is much less than your agreement needs to be if we're going to consider you to be an elder, right? That's just how it works, right? So those are kind of the spheres that I look at when trying to decide, is this theological discussion worth my time, worth my effort? And here's my problem, Jack. I say that to bring this up. I think there are too many guys that, whether it be lack of discernment, lack of experience, choose to give their energy and their time when it comes to discussing theology and these type of topics and things like that, choose to give it to literally anything that demands it. Yeah. And because of how enticing social media is, because of how it really kind of like gives you tunnel vision at the end of the day, the more you give to it, the more it demands, right? Yeah. You see so many individuals on social media that are treating it like it's their, honestly, they're treating it like they're considering people for eldership. And they are dedicating so much time and so much effort to these discussions that at the end of the day don't bear any fruit, right? And then it distracts them from, the actual things that are going on in their local church, right? So those are kind of the spheres that I have, and I think there's a problem because I think some guys don't think about that, and they're applying the same level of care and time and energy to a fake place than they would someone coming into membership or coming into being a deacon or an elder. Does that make sense? Am I like, I know I'm tired.
No.
But, yeah.
No. I think you're on the right track. And this we might have to do a part 2 conversation about this as well.
Yeah, I'm in
because I think the other part to this is, you talk about social media and stuff like that. And I think it's true. Like, it is a manufactured place in order to eat. I mean, you could look at it in the sense of, like, you can make social media what you want people to think that you are, right? Mm-hmm. It is this altered state of reality to a certain degree. And some people would say, well, you can still interact with people on there and you can still have like community and stuff like that. It's like, it's kind of like disembodied community though. And I think that both Josh, you and I understand disembodied community pretty well because we've been through this kind of Acts 29 Mars Hill experience where we had pastors on screens preaching to us at a local church. Like, that's about as disembodied as you're gonna get.
Yeah.
So I think this could be like a continuation conversation in that sense. But to what you're saying, yeah, like I think people. But I mean, this is like the soup du jour of the day, right? In order for me to have a proper appearance to people and to get more people on my platform, to get more people listening to me, I have to do this. I have to take up the sword and go defend Jesus, right? I got to go out there and just lob heads off in order to, build the kingdom. And it's just like, really? That's all you got? Yeah, I just think like passions and zeal is misplaced to places that are particularly set up in order to see snapshots of life that can be altered to a degree in which it's not really what you think it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I think that's pretty hollow,
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And like at the end of the day, like I said, I think it's just a lack of discernment and a lack of wisdom as to what's the most important thing that you should be putting time into, right? And look, this is something that Jack and I talk about a lot, but it's because we value and we try to promote the centrality of the local church in the life of the believer, right? It's what we talk about, right? Yeah. So part of that is, I think, coming against and speaking against the things that are causing people to not make the local church central. And one of the massive things right now is this monster of social media that just seems to just demand more and more and more and more, and it never gives anything, I think in return, right? And I'm speaking as someone who feels that pull, right? Who, like, I can't tell you how many times, Jack, like, and it's only by the grace of God that I don't, because my pride and like my flesh really wants to. Like, let's be honest. There's a lot of dumb people on social media. There's a lot of people with some really dumb takes, right? And there's a lot of people that really think that they're hot stuff and really think that they that they know stuff, and just they run their mouth, and it's obvious they don't, right? And I see that, and my flesh is like, it pokes and prods me. It's like, hey, you should tell them they're stupid. You should tell them how stupid they are, right? You should engage in this, right? You should bring down the theological hammer, right? Right? You should, and it's just like calling me back to this cage stage, right? But by the grace of God, for the most part, like, we all have slip ups for sure. Like, I'm able to kind of remember those spheres that I talked about. It's like this is at the bottom of the list, because I'm not responsible for any of these people. I'm not going to interact with any of these people in real life. And at the end of the day, these people aren't in a position to honestly care about what I have to say. So, like, why am I going to throw the proverbial pearls before the social media swine? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm not I'm not calling the people swine. I'm talking X. Like, social media is the swine.
Yeah.
Like it wants all the stuff. It's a greedy piglet, and I can feed it, right? Or I can remember, like, there are real people with real problems and real situations that they're going through. Right? There are real people that reach out and say, hey, can we talk? Right? And those are the people that I need to be putting time and effort into. Right? But if those people see me online being a brute and being a complete jackwagon, right? I'm sorry, I used your name in vain again. I got to stop doing that. I don't know why Jack is
Everybody
used for
does.
Jackwagon, Jack SWAT,
Everybody.
Jack. It did everything, right?
Everybody
I'm sorry. I apologize
does it.
again, Jack. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Right, but if they see me just being a jerk online, right, and just like dropping the theological hammer on people, they're not going to feel comfortable reaching out when something's going on, because they're going to expect to get the exact same thing. And I think that's what these folks forget. So that's just my 2 cents, man. And
I think, I think the only other thing I would add to that is, and I felt like I kind of had this attitude to a certain degree, maybe about 6 or 7 years ago. I use social media to try and be a know-it-all, I guess. I don't know. To have that, it came off that way, and I kind of cringe back at it, and I'm like, ugh, yeah, it's not good. So yeah, I think that there's, I think that if you look at your local church and just be like, do I really want to be a know-it-all, and do I want to give off that vibe, or do I want to give off if I want to be a leader in the church and I'm aspiring to leadership in the church, how am I really displaying what the epistles are calling me to in that versus trying to appear that way?
Sure.
So I think there's a huge difference in that. And I would just say, if you're trying to just basically be a know-it-all on social media, good luck in that. Because it's not going to get you anywhere. It's just going to try and puff you up, and it's not going to do you any spiritual health. So
no, I think it's an important discussion, man. I wouldn't mind having another one on this as to kind of just the there's so much that pulls our affections, right? But the amount of good that can happen in your local church when you are the individual that is shunning all those things that are calling for your attention. And taking that same energy, right, and that same desire, and honestly, maybe that same enjoyment and desire to discuss theology. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. I love it, right? But it's so much more beneficial when you do it with people that you can actually see the investment, have fruit. You know what I'm saying? And those are the people in your local church. So, I think we should continue that discussion, because I think there's a lot of meat on that bone, and there's a lot of encouragement that can be had, especially for our listeners who don't engage in all that junk, right? And that are faithfully serving their churches and are making the church central. You guys are the ones that bring joy and encouragement to my heart when I see that. I see that in my local church. I see that, in the public square, and when I see people, talking about how much they do love and commit to their church on social media. Those are the stuff that I engage in, because that brings me joy. I really, really like that. But Jack, we're out of time, so why don't we hop out of here? And we will record some Patreon apps for our people and call it a night, because both of us need to go to bed.
Yes, so if you want to continue in our conversation and talking about this, you can join us on the Sociables. You can join us on the Facebook, the Metaverse. You can join us on the Instantgram. Goes well with chocolate marshmallow. You can join us on the Sociable, formerly known as Twitter, X. You can find us all at the tag at Reform. X gonna give it to you. You can find us all at the tag at Reformatory Pod. You can drop us a postcard. DM, anything along those lines. A postcard. A post.
Send an owl.
Something. Yes. You can do all those things and interact with us, even on this. Maybe you have a question to follow up with that we can answer on an episode, or you have an episode idea. You can do that all on those sociable platforms for us to better engage with us. And Josh, you can tell the lovely people how they might support us in different ways on some other platforms as well.
That's right, sir. Absolutely. So, first, foremost, at the front of the line, if you are on Apple or Spotify, you can give us a 5-star rating and review. We really appreciate that, right? I know we say that every ep, and it can kind of fall on deaf ears, but if you are on Apple, we really would appreciate you scrolling down, giving us a little 5-star action, giving us a little blurb on how the podcast encourages you, or put something put something there about how, like what you love about your local church, and maybe talk about, your the weirdest thing you've heard Jack and I say. It could literally be anything, but we really do appreciate those, because it gives us just kind of a barometer of what people like, and kind of what people are thinking about the pod. So we appreciate that. You can head on, as we aforementioned, YouTube. We're on YouTube now. So if for some weird reason you've been listening to this podcast and you thought to yourself, I really wish I could see these guys as well as hear them? Well, we have something for you because we are on YouTube, and we have been for a little bit. So if you head on over to youtube.com/reformatorypod, like, comment, subscribe, click the little bell for notifications. The new videos of the episodes drop every Thursday, right? We've got some new video content in the works, some ideas coming that are going to be really, really sweet, and we're going to be releasing those probably exclusively on YouTube as well. So last but not least, you can head on over to Patreon. You can join the Podluck, and for $5 a month, you get 2 exclusive bonus episodes. Right? You get you get exclusive access to Jack and I. Right? Not that that's a big selling point, but I
that's not a
say
selling point,
right?
but okay.
Right, that's fair. That's fair, right? But we post a bunch of extra stuff on the Patreon that doesn't go out on social media, doesn't go out to YouTube or stuff like that. Patreon is the place, and guess what? Patreon has an app now. It's not just online. You download the Patreon app, sign up to support for a $5 holla, get all that exclusive content, and our pledge to you is that your name shall be hallowed.
Hallowed, sir. Hallowed.
Hallowed through the halls of this podcast. That is our pledge to you for your $5 holla. We would really appreciate it. All you guys, we're super thankful for you. The fact that anybody listens to this podcast just kind of floors us still. But we appreciate you listening. And we will catch you on the next step of the Reformatory.